Anime Club. Today is D&D Day, so we're talking about Dungeons and Dragons. So we can go around to talk if you're a new timer here. So I'm Terry.
I'm Sam.
Jock.
Gabe.
Jennifer.
Pat. So it's finally the end of the month, so we can finally announce our winners for our little bunny's name here. We decided on the name Mochi, which was presented by Christine Pinkleton. So you can choose which one you like. And second winner, because we couldn't choose because we got two of them, is Pat's own mother. So she gets a keychain, or if she doesn't want it, then Pat can have it.
Do first and last name for them.
Yeah, so first and last name. So our bunny's officially named is Mochi McBunnyface. Thanks for all your suggestions. And now for D&D, so we'll throw it over to our experts over here.
I was gonna say, wouldn't really call us experts because
You're
there are people out there that actually make money doing this.
I know, but you're
Yeah,
more
but
experts. You're the
I
biggest experts here.
I think if you read the player's handbook 6 times, you can call yourself an expert. And I have read it.
Only 6?
I can't count because I don't read it in order.
Oh yes.
So, like,
Does
it's
anybody
always
ever
been
read the
back.
player handbook in order? That would be
I
like
would-
using the
I'd die.
Dungeon
Yeah.
Master's handbook in order, right?
I would
don't you
pass
just
away.
jump around finding the bits you need?
Yes, and then losing them and having to go to the index and finding the
Or-
wrong page.
Yes.
Yeah, or just Googling it and then finding a wiki that someone made with all the information from Volo's
Yeah.
handbook and not actually buying the book.
Right,
The fun cheat way.
Yeah, if anyone has noticed with our lovely display books that we have here, Jock and I both use sticky notes in order to find
I only-
everything.
Yeah, I really need to go back through and notarize everything because I'm always losing pages. I use all the time.
That's how you
I'm
know a
just-
book is well loved if you're losing pages. Right?
Well,
Well, if you're
I would have to
physically losing
lose my mind first, but...
Oh,
So what Jock and I have done is we've brought a whole bunch of Dungeons and Dragons-esque things. I essentially brought everything that I would use on a campaign. So we've got our books, we've got the monster manual, we've got the player handbooks. Those are the two that your players are going to use for the most part.
I
Sometimes
don't really let my players look at the monster manual.
I
during
do
games.
sometimes, not during games, but
Yeah.
I do let them look at it other
Yeah.
times.
Like,
The ones that your players are almost never going to use unless they are an actual dungeon master is the Dungeon Master's Handbook, which essentially teaches you how to set up a campaign.
yeah, and it gives you inspiration and little cheat sheets. Like, I believe somewhere towards the back there's a table of various species NPCs can be.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I've got places where I've learned how to make my own maps. And legit, guys, I told you I brought everything. I draw my own maps for my homebrew campaign. So,
I do all mine digitally.
I,
Don't have a laptop to show those on.
yeah, it's one of those things that I enjoy doing things by hand because I never got the hang of it digitally.
I use my tablet.
Works the same way, right?
Yeah.
Every dungeon master is going to do
They
something
can't bring it.
differently, and like we said earlier, there are people out there that get paid to do this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can, I tried to look into it once, but the information's so hard to find just because the wording is always so vague for stuff like this. But I
It
think
is.
there's like the way Scouts is organized, you can organize kind of public Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
That's kind of almost licensed under Wizards of the Coast. Or like they give you the tools to do
Mhm.
public stuff.
I know
along
that,
those lines.
So Dungeons and Dragons is also very similar to a game called Pathfinder.
Yep.
So I have a friend that plays Pathfinder, who is actually one of their ambassadors
Oh,
that
wow.
runs public stuff.
Oh,
Nice.
cool.
And they give her everything. They literally give her stuff.
Like for free and stuff?
Yeah.
Nice.
They like give her adventures. We don't have any. Unfortunately, we don't have any of the
Yeah.
pre-written adventures with us today.
Aw.
For frame of reference, I paid something close to somewhere between 50 and 80 for each of these volumes individually.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think as high as 80, but that's just because I got a discount.
Pretty much.
The books can get pretty expensive. Like
Yeah.
most of the ones I've looked at can be anywhere from like $20 to $50, and
Yeah, so all the adventures are like that, and they're also all hardcover. So
Essentially, they look exactly like your books
Yeah.
here.
I own the Taraka deck from Strahd. I forgot to bring it.
Oh, boo.
We talked about Strahd.
Yes, we
Yeah.
went
Oh,
deeply
yeah.
into that.
We went deeply into Strahd, and if you ever want to play Strahd, be kind to your dungeon master and don't.
Just be patient.
Right.
Be patient.
Be very
Things
patient.
take some
with
time
your-
to deal
your
with
dungeon
because
master.
they don't give you all that you need. I don't know if this is true for all their published adventures. Strahd's the only published one I've run, but
Right.
yeah,
So,
I think unless you've gone by the book 100% of the way learning to DM, you're not gonna really understand what they're trying to, like what they've given you. You're gonna need more than that.
absolutely, especially
Basically, make up
since
as you go along, kind of thing.
exactly like Chuck and I, and I'm sure a couple of you guys have done homebrew campaigns.
oh yeah,
I think so, yeah.
Okay,
I
so
think-
for anyone watching that doesn't know what a homebrew is, it's essentially something that your dungeon master has made up.
Oh, then yeah, then I've only
Yep.
been in one campaign so far, and there,
Yeah,
theirs
all-
was homebrew together.
all the campaigns
Yeah.
I've been in have had some homebrew elements. I don't think I've had a single one that's actually used like the D&D setting. All of them have always just made their own, or like, tweaked bits of like the planes, or used like bits of like Planescape, or
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I haven't had a single one where it's just been like strictly from the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I've done a Legend of Zelda one before. Not as the game master, but just as a player.
Oh yeah.
Being the
You-
game
you
master, that's
can-
just too much for me. It's like,
Yeah,
nope.
you
It's a
can
lot of
take
paperwork.
everything. You can literally take everything and anything and essentially make it into a campaign. So my campaign, my homebrew campaign, is essentially run off of this little coilback scribbler. So Dragon Isles is actually the novel I've been working on for ages. And I have actually used the D&D campaign to help flesh out aspects of the novel.
Wow, nice.
All of the maps that I showed you guys
Yeah.
are
everything
all places in the novel.
Oh, wow.
It's all based off of the novel that's
Yeah.
essentially in my head.
Makes me wish I was part of your campaign now.
I can run this campaign in my sleep now. So oftentimes you dungeon master, and I've seen you do this. Will write down everything in their own little adventure
Yeah.
book, essentially. So I've got in here, I've got the prophecy that I used for my campaign. Yes, it's all prophecy based. I've got the experience points where people level up. I've got the background of my islands. I've got notes on the places that my players have been.
Ooh.
You're a much more responsible dungeon master than I am.
It helps you kind of keep everything together, especially in your head. That I find that every dungeon master is different, right?
I think I'd like to have notes, but I'm unfortunately not fast enough to keep up with my players usually.
Right.
Like,
So
we're all
we do an adventure log
Yeah.
at the end of every session, where I keep track of who's got what experience, what treasure was handed out, what NPCs that we encountered,
Oh, jeez. So you go all out.
essentially. So let's go back to.
You don't call yourself an expert, huh?
So let's go back to some of the one of the more interesting
Ooh, we get story
parts that we did.
time.
So there was one time where my company, if you want to call them that, ended up in the library that they were supposed to go to. where they ended up meeting a person called the Keeper,
Uh-huh.
and they got the first part of the prophecy. Because the prophecy that I wrote has been broken up.
Ah.
And each different person around the entire archipelago has a different part of the prophecy.
Ooh.
And in order to know how to defeat the big bad, as most of us people call it,
Yeah.
you have to put together the entire prophecy. So in this particular library, they met with the Keeper and they received the first part of the prophecy. They learned more about the group of enemies that was trying to come after them, because the big bad is the head of the group of enemies. They met a little boy called Horventh and his father Bartholomew. And Bartholomew is also the cartographer.
What's
of-
that?
A cartographer is somebody who makes maps.
Oh, okay, a map person.
A map maker, essentially. And they received the maps for various islands. But they don't know what island they're supposed to go to next.
Oh, so they gotta go
So they have to figure that out.
Yeah.
They then ate dinner with everybody else, which was a very weird affair in and of itself. I don't remember the exact details. But then my dragonborn rogue, whose name was Rohan, and Rohan, if you're watching this, you know exactly who you are, decided that it would be a good idea to challenge little Horvet, who was about 8 years old,
Hi.
to a dance battle.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
Let's just say, Rohan, you got schooled so hard. So
That's fun.
that's the type of notes that I keep. Things that are either
So it sounds like you guys.
successant to the plot, or just things that I can then go on and torture my players with later.
That's always super, super fun.
Right.
So this is the map for a campaign I was a player for that was mostly homebrewed, where basically it was several ages after a great cataclysm that left most of underneath underwater, and all that was left were islands. So, you know, kind of like Wind Waker, like Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. And our party was dispatched to figure out what had happened on a neighboring island when they found a whole bunch of dead bodies.
Oh, look.
Yeah. It was a fun campaign. I think it's currently on hiatus because, you know, everybody gets busy. D&D can take up anywhere from like an hour to like 5, 6, 12.
I think I played an 8-hour one once.
Yeah.
So there's also the terms Dungeon Master and Game Master. Some people don't know which one to choose. Well, you can pick either, because Dungeon Master apparently is a trademark in the
Yep.
game, thanks to
Dungeon Master is a trademark title from Wizards of the Coast, so games that aren't made by them tend to use the term Game Master, such as Pathfinder. Gonna go out on a limb and say maybe Cyberpunk.
Yeah, Cyberpunk 2020 and all the other Cyberpunks use Game Master.
probably Warhammer, too.
Yeah.
Probably.
Warhammer.
It's a pretty self-explanatory title.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the person who's running the game you're playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't
And
get
and
any
like other
simpler
games,
than
is
that.
there's not just Dungeons and Dragons. There are millions of different kinds of tabletop games,
Oh,
such
yeah.
as Warhammer, Pathfinder, Cyberpunk.
Yeah, Cyberpunk 2020, there's a bunch like Cyberpunk. There's ones for specific TV shows. I've been doing a lot of research into this. There's a Japanese one called Golden Sky Stories, where you play as animals that can shape-shift into kids, and you have adventures in a small farm town.
Sounds super cute.
Yeah, there's another one I've been looking into called Bubble Gumshoe, which uses the Gumshoe system, which is built for detective stories, but Bubble Gumshoe is meant more for like Scooby-Doo or Nancy Drew or like teenage detectives solving mysteries.
The Harvey Boys.
Yeah, the Hardy Boys.
or really stupid. There's no in between. Like I had one named Xanthimus. I had like a badger buddy. It was so cool. And then I had a gnome character named Sparkle Bum Bum. And I, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Like,
jeez.
like I said, it's either really cool or really dumb. I
Yeah.
like a bit of both. But
You either pick a character, like names for your characters that mean a lot. Like I have a Tabaxi pirate, which a Tabaxi is a cat race in D&D.
Ooh.
I had a Tabaxi pirate that I named Swiftfang, and then my next character was a little kobold, a little lizard type thing named Bitey. Bitey the Warlock.
I love kobolds so much.
Yeah.
They're so silly. They're just these little kind of lizard dragon people.
And me,
Yeah,
who
thanks.
have never really played before, my character was just based off some of my own, like, Persona characters, which I'm told you're not supposed to do that because you get too attached, but I'm like, whatever, and my Dungeon Master was pretty nice and not kill us all, but mine was just named after my Persona deer named Sosuke. So yeah.
that's the thing. If they die, you're like, no, no.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Having to sit out for it, like it sucks.
Oh god, yeah.
But then you could just build another character and you're just like, yeah,
It's
we
not
know
the same.
You're attached. Like there was, oh god. Okay, so there was there was a sea battle during one of my campaigns where one of my friends' characters, who was a cleric, I think, paladin, one of the holy ones, and they decided, hey, I'm going to cast lightning in the rain next to my character Swiftfang, who was tangled in a net and covered in rain, who was immediately killed by lightning.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I mean,
gosh.
so were the people they were targeting, but so was Swiftfang.
At least Swiftfang had a swift death. Am I right?
Right.
Swiftfang lived.
Yes.
I survived my saving throws, so Swiftfang lived,
Oh my
but
gosh.
then rolled a 1 and crashed the ship she's been piloting for years into the dock of a beach.
Oh, you hate to see it happen.
Yeah, love those natural ones. Love when they just make your pirate character just wreck their entire ship. Love that.
That's the funniest thing about this game is the dice mean everything. So you could be doing something really important and you roll the dice and something really bad happens or something hilarious can happen. It's up to the Dungeon Master.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
so much can be left up to just the roll of the dice.
oh, definitely.
I know it's like kind of off topic, but I know there's one thing you can have like your character do. It's like craft and then something. And I thought it was so good. I'm like craft dinner. I'm like I can make food. Yeah. Yeah.
That is a thing that you can do.
Oh jeez.
Totally.
I thought it was great.
It levels up your cooking skills.
Yeah, exactly. Craft dinner. It's the best.
Oh, dear.
Okay, so another story.
Yay!
Sometimes you can fun things get thrown in, and like yours. Sometimes characters get adopted by your players, or the one campaign I was in, we had it set up so that the astral plane and the astral sea was a literal sea that you could sail a ship through. So at one point it's like, so this is an astral sea, right? To the Dungeon Master, and they went, yeah. So is there fish in the astral sea? I suppose. Could I fish in the astral sea? Yeah, go for it. Because apparently that's where all the garbage from all the planes ended up. So I ended up fishing out a little purple feathery fascinator hat.
Beautiful.
And now I'm going to wear this the entire campaign.
I tried giving it to an NPC, and the NPC was extremely unimpressed.
Good? Okay. So, dice for Dungeons and Dragons. This is kind of what your basic set will look like, but if you really want to, save, you only really need these two guys. Absolutely. I would recommend getting a set like this. Came in a box. I think these guys cost me $15. They're just decent quality. You can usually find dice at any comic book store or a more dedicated gaming store.
Hobby shops.
Yes. Or you can get them online. You can get pretty cheap dice, although I've heard rumors that the more opaque dice, like these guys down here, can have balance issues.
Honestly, it really depends on how you're going to roll. So these are just ones that I picked up.
You can get them in all different
off of
colors
Amazon.
and shades.
Oh, absolutely, because
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, these are my player killing dice.
With the scorpion.
with the scorpion on it. I specifically use these when I'm trying to kill my player, when I'm trying to kill players. So we've got purple and gray, and they're just.
I like the teal.
I just like different colors of dice.
Yeah.
I'm starting to make a dice palette where you make specific colors for a character. So I got all of these individually at a comic book store in Edmonton. This one's real neat because it's got speckles in it that glow in the dark, which I didn't know until I turned the lights off the first time.
So,
Must have been a neat surprise.
right.
Oh yeah, it was
So-
fun.
So now it's time to learn the basics of D&D. It's might be a long process. We've got our dungeon masters here to show you the way. They've got some little bio sheets, which is the first thing you do when you create a character in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
you're gonna want one of those. I recommend printing off the third sheet just in case.
Yeah.
there's
even-
3 of them.
You can use those, or you can also. There's also a number of phone apps where you can build your own character sheet.
Absolutely.
This is the original sheet for my character Swiftfang. Although this one isn't the paid version, so I can't make them any stronger. So I had to manually level her up. But,
Yes. Another place that you can get character sheets is D&D Beyond.
Yes.
I think that's where I got mine.
You can make up to 6 characters on a free account on D&D Beyond.
I think so.
I currently have a paid subscription, so I can make a
Many.
limited number of characters.
Many as you want.
You can also download printable and editable PDFs from the Wizards of the Coast website. I think it's just DungeonsandDragons.com or something.
I think so. Even
Got
if
it
you
in
just
one.
type in Dungeons and Dragons into whatever search engine that you're
oh
using,
yeah.
Yeah, they'll print 'em.
it'll pop up. So
How I
many
found my
things.
first editable PDF is I googled a D&D character sheet and then
yeah.
went on Google and tried printing pictures, but those turned out really bad, so I ended up finding a PDF.
Oh, absolutely. So on your character sheet, let's kind of zoom in a little bit on here. Ouch. You're going to have the name of your character. This guy is, we call him Billy. His full name is Bilius. I did not give him a last name. You're going to have a class and a level. We'll get into more of that later, as well as your background. You're going to have experience points and alignments, your race.
Yeah, your species and whatnot.
Get into that a little bit more of that, and then a whole bunch of these stats down here, which is essentially going to be how strong your character is going to be. You're also going to have a place to put how strong your armor is, what your character traits are, as well as the different equipment that you get throughout the game. Your second sheet gets more into your character, so how tall they are, how much they weigh, what do they look like? Because if you don't know what your character looks like, you're going to have a hard time describing them to other various people. So such as Billy. Billy's 16. He's 5'10", 185 pounds. Some tan skin because he works outside with dirty blonde hair and brown eyes. His arms are heavily scoured because he works a lot with different livestock. What else does he have? He hails from a town of Mallowfort. This is from my homebrew, which
Okay.
means that essentially I made up all the names.
Okay.
So the town is Mallowfort on the island of Eaglestead. And at this current time in the campaign that we had been running, he has in his possession for treasure a stolen set of heirloom armor
Whoops.
because Rohan decided to steal it for him. And your third sheet in your character sheet is going to be mostly used for paladins, rogues,
Magic.
warlocks,
Your ma-
sorcery.
your
It's
magic
your magic users.
Yeah, it's your spell sheet.
It's your spell sheet. So you've got cantrips, which are essentially
Level spells.
zero level spells. Basically, your spell user can cast those basically with a snap.
Again and again and again.
And again.
No issues.
And then you've got various other spells that your character knows. Because Billy is a paladin, he knows a bunch of different
Paladin.
religious type spells and such.
Holy spells.
holy spells. He's a very holy person. So that's going to be your basic character sheets, and we'll get a little bit more into what each of those other pieces entails.